Good evening and welcome in to Mutt Cuts, football fans, sports fans. I'm your host, Poppa Capps. Joining me is my boy Monty. How are we tonight?
Buddy, we're fantastic. Fantastic.
Love it, love it. Well, what we'll do in this episode, episode one, is recap what was an exciting week of college football.
hmm
Not the upsets we thought that might happen, but a couple got close. And we got to see some good games there.
We did.
So first, tell me a little bit about some of your bets that you told us to watch out for last week. Which ones hit, which ones didn't, and how you feeling overall about that?
Not too swift, buddy. Navy got boat raced. Mizzou, we know how that one went.
Hey, don't think you're
Absolute
getting by that with that joke without a comment. That's that. Yeah, Navy got boat raced. All right, come on.
Mizzou, 16 and a half, dude. They needed every bit of that for that Alabama game. It got
Yeah,
ugly.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
no. I Illinois plus 21 and a half. Oregon covered that with ease.
In the first quarter.
I did hit on Yes, yes. I did hit you and I were in agreement on that one. The BYU money line, we knew that was going to happen. And then Nebraska, Ohio State. You and I were split on that one. I will
Yeah,
say
I was
that
not.
one
I
did
was
hit.
not. Yeah, I was thinking Ohio State would hit that 49 points by themselves. But kudos to you. I predicted Penn State would be the team that would be looking ahead and get upset at Wisconsin, and it was Ohio State that choked a little bit on the cupcake there. Nebraska, maybe they're pretty good, but coming off a blowout loss like they had and into that game, it's not the best look for Ohio State.
Speaking of that, though, I do want to drop this right quick. I did see very interesting stat this week on Nebraska against ranked opponents, and it's not yeah, ranked team since 2016. Nebraska is 0-27
Wow, wow,
against ranked opponents.
that's tough, man, and that explains the coaching turmoil and turnover they've been dealing with. They can't get it done.
Mm-mm.
We'll see, but they almost did it there. Very impressive. They played great defense that game. That was an impressive game. So that was a big one. That could have been a big winner for some people. So maybe hopefully some people took your advice there and maybe won a little money on that.
I'm
But yeah,
hoping.
like we said, overall, some things didn't happen that we thought would happen. So let's start at the top here. It's actually a game we did not cover in the last episode, but it's a big game for non-Power Five schools. These are probably the top two schools that had a chance to get into the playoffs playing against each other. Boise
hmm
State, UNLV. So we know Boise State. That's the Genty show, and then UNLV was in the news for their quarterback, which I saw officially today is in the transfer portal, and another player ending their season early, redshirting and entering the transfer portal due to some NIL deal fall through with the school.
Yeah, man. Well, their quarterback before this cat that's out there now, he was not happy about some NIL stuff that was promised to him. So that seems like it's an issue out there.
And
Boise
he was
did.
having a great season, but
He was.
this other quarterback's come in and done just as well, if not better. So they were both sitting at what 6-1 or something.
Yeah.
5-1, in good shape. Boise State being ranked, and you look at the stats. We put it down here. Genty did end up with 128 yards and a touchdown that he got in the fourth quarter, but he had 33 carries. That's just over 3 yards a carry. They were giving that man the rock, and he was not finding much space most
No.
of the game. So UNLV came out with a good game plan to stop him, and they just kept giving him the ball, and he's just that type of workhorse running back. But man, he's had a lot of carries this season. So I've seen some
Yeah.
draft boards with him pretty high up there. A lot of people are wondering if he'd be like a Bijan Robinson, but I don't see it. I think something like that might hurt his draft stock because he's going to come in battered and bruised, and the NFL now it's they're kind of like Leonardo DiCaprio. If you're a running back when you hit 26 years of age, you're getting dumped, right? So
Well
he's already coming in out of college with all those carries. So we'll see. I think he's extremely talented, obviously, and it's incredible what he's been able to do. But curious to see what that does to his draft stock because
Well, with a kid like that, man, that many carries, you've also got a dude like Derrick Henry, who's been rode like Seabiscuit for years through Bama, the Titans. I mean, and dude's still got plenty of tread left on the tires.
even in high,
So
you want to.
I don't know.
I was say you want to look at some impressive stats. Look at his high school stats. He carried the ball 40 times a game, averaging 15 yards a carry all through high school. So, but he's different. He's look at his body,
Yeah,
look at his build. He's just a freak athlete. I don't know how he's been able to endure the hits he's taken through all these years, but it's impressive, and he's as good as ever for the Ravens. So that's a good comparison, I think. Outside of the height and weight, muscles, maybe Gentile will be able to do the same thing. But at the end of the day, that's a big win for Boise State. They got a foot in the door to make it into that playoff spot for the non-Power 5 school. So we'll see what they do if they get in there. But that was a big win for them. They needed to win it. It was close. I'm upset I missed that one, honestly. Pitt Syracuse, we don't even need to spend much time on this. I mean, Pitt whipped them up and down the field. Syracuse, that's it. They're just a non-contender this year. And Pitt's not looked that great either, but they came out and whipped them that game.
Pitt's right there though, man. Don't sleep on them Pitt Panthers.
No, they're a scary team. Has Penn State played them yet?
I don't think so. Think so. Maybe they have. I want to say Pitt's got 2 losses, but I can't remember who the 2 are.
Yeah, I don't know if we've had that Penn State rivalry yet, but maybe that'll be one to watch. After this weekend, obviously with the huge game against Ohio State, that could be a team that I'm going to keep calling it every week until it happens that James Franklin loses to someone he shouldn't. So eventually it's going to hit. But
right,
you touched on Navy Notre Dame. That was one that we started with last week.
And
we felt like maybe they could do it. Notre Dame hadn't looked too impressive. Navy still running triple option, but they had a little more of a pass element this year. And yeah, it was over almost immediately. Turnovers and Notre Dame getting the ball in the end zone. That was an unfair matchup. So
yeah, they got behind it. They got behind the sticks early. Behind the sticks early.
And with that type of offense, you can't do that. You can't get behind 2 scores. There's just hardly any way to get back. So that was a bit of a surprising game, but kudos to Notre Dame. BYU, UCF, we called that. We hit that one right on the head. How UCF was favored in that game, I'll never know. As a team with a losing record, who hadn't looked good in 3 or 4 weeks, BYU obviously used that as motivation in the locker room, and they came out and took care of business. That was
Central Florida, the student section, man, fired up the Fire Gus chants too. So
it's the program like UCF. I know they have a fake national title, but it seems like Gus Malzahn's a good fit there, if you ask me.
I think he is too. I don't think it's time to cut that man loose. I mean, I just don't. You know?
Yeah. No, he may not win you a fake national title, but he'll he's a good fit there.
He's right there. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So Ole Miss and Oklahoma. Yeah. That's a close game for a long time. It was not pretty. I don't know. Lane Kiffin, that offense is kind of sputtering right now, which is weird. It looked unstoppable for several weeks. So I don't know what's going on with them. That's obviously a coach that most of us Florida fans are wanting. Napier was to be fired, but I don't know. They should be doing better than they are, but they're letting teams that aren't very good hang with them, and they're not putting up points on the scoreboard like they were.
That I tell you, man, that's one of those games there. I don't want to take nothing away from Oklahoma, and I don't want to seem like I'm fluffing them because we played them. They have an elite defense. They have a really good defense, honestly. Offensively, they should. I don't know if the Hawkins kid is hurt. If he is, then I get going back to Jackson Arnold. But that Hawkins kid, dude, that's their ticket right there.
Yeah, you got to take your lumps with him.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, take your lumps with the kid. Let him do what he needs to do. He's talented. He's moved the ball. he beats what you've got. And because Oklahoma is more talented than their record shows. They've had the injury bug. It is what it is, though, at this point. Lane, though, I mean, it's high time for him to figure it out but we've said it before with Lane at Ole Miss, man, his job is safe with an 8-4 or 9-3 season every year.
Right.
Don't matter. So we got that one. The next one up, Nebraska, Ohio State. We kind of touched on that earlier. Nebraska tried their damnedest
that was right
pull it
end.
off,
Absolutely,
and just couldn't do it.
Yeah, defense was impressive for them.
Yeah,
I mean, Mahomes cosplay kid didn't look that great. He did enough.
He did just enough to keep.
But that was on their defense. They came out to play.
Yeah,
they gave up that Jeremiah Smith, like I said, best freshman receiver in the country, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Another long touchdown for him. But other than that, Ohio State was really not getting much going offensively. So they were lucky to get out of there with a win. So
yeah,
they might have been looking ahead. I don't know. Got to go to Penn State. Obviously, that's a tough place to play, but I'm surprised they were looking ahead at that. But maybe they were. We will see. Nebraska definitely came to play. Illinois, Oregon. We wondered a little bit. I did say in episode 0 that if there was a game that I could see the spread being covered and covered well, this would be it. That's exactly what happened. And not that I was discrediting Illinois any, but crediting Oregon and Coach Dan Lanning for what I think is the best team in the country. Hard to argue against it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. You called that one spot on, man. I was the one that was kind of like, Illinois sneaky good. No, they're not. They're not. I mean, they're not. We'll touch on that a little bit here in the next episode too. But yeah, they're not sneaky good. They're not. Oregon. Here's my question though for Oregon: is the Oregon defense really that good, or is it lack of competition? Because outside of Ohio State, they've not played anybody really tough, I want to say.
Yeah, that's a good question. And
Boise State.
Right. And if you can stop one person on Boise State, you can stop their offense. And that's easy for an elite defense with better talent and better coaching like Oregon has and some of the other teams Boise State has played. But, that's a really good question this week because Ohio State didn't do what we thought they would do to Nebraska. Nebraska looked good on defense against them. So you then start to question, is that Ohio State defense really as good as we thought? So if they're not as good as we thought, then maybe Oregon's defense isn't either. But, that's yet to be determined. But I think Lanning's pedigree is and speaks for itself. He comes from that Nick Saban, Kirby Smart line of defense. And on top of that, he gets the modern game of football. So they've got talent and they're scheming well. They're obviously a very smart coach with that, taking advantage of that 10-second runoff rule. And so for now, I've got to say they're legit on both sides of the ball. They're the most complete team in the country to me until someone shows me different. So
it's one of those things they are till they're not.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So we'll be keeping an eye on them. Obviously, the target's on their back the rest of the season. Washington, Indiana. How about Indiana? Huh? We wondered about them, and they rolled again. Defense. What they have? A pick 6, I think.
Yeah.
They're impressive. They were on upset alert, in our opinion, because Washington is that type of team that could do it. They weren't going to be intimidated by anything because they've been there. They were in the national championship last year. So a lot of those guys played at the highest level. So, but Indiana, man, they came out and just keep doing what they're doing. They're winning games. They're winning them big. And who knows? They might be undefeated when they see Ohio State.
I'm curious to see what the rest of the season brings for them because from here, the rest of them get even more important. And if you're not used to being in that spot, then the pressure sort of starts mounting. So
we talked about
Michigan State.
Michigan State, Michigan, and Ohio State. I don't know if that's the exact order, but that is their next 3 games. So there it is right there.
They do have Michigan State up next. We'll touch on that one in the next one. So
yep. Yeah, so that's we'll know a lot about them very soon. But I'm cheering for them. I love to see a team like that doing what they're doing.
Yes.
And so we'll roll right through this quickly. No pun intended. Roll Tide did take care of business. you know, they rebounded. They didn't rebound after the loss to Georgia, or beating Georgia, I should say, or losing to Vandy. They did not rebound from that against South Carolina. Almost lost to them, but they came out, and I really think Missouri, and they got exposed the week before, and I really think Missouri is not even a top 25 team, if you ask me. I think it's more of a testament to that. But kudos to Bama. I mean, they had a good defense against you guys. They played good defense. They had a good plan, and they showed that a little more against Missouri with a banged up quarterback. Don't know why he played. He was obviously pretty
Yeah,
badly injured. So
it
it was an
was.
easy game. It was an easy game for Bama.
It was. I mean, it was at home. They double up the spread. It was a 16 and a
Yeah,
half point spread. They doubled it up.
right.
And the crazy part about it is they doubled it up without Missouri scoring a single point. To your point, to your point there though, Brady Cook, he was hurt because they looked a lot better earlier in the season
Yeah,
before he got kind of banged up a little bit. But I don't know, man. It was like taking candy from a baby for Alabama.
yeah.
It was just you can't. No, there was no. That was never close from the
No, it
jump.
wasn't. No, it wasn't. So Bama took their foot off the pedal, gas pedal, to probably preserve some players, stay healthy, and was able to coast away with that. So kudos to
And
Roll Tide.
want to say this though, they're not a lot of. I'm a Vol fan. But I'm not naive enough to think Bama. We may not have to play them again. Just saying. I mean, like that's the thing about this 12-team playoff is the pollsters have kept them just right there to where if the right things happen, they still make it in. We're going to be it's going to be interesting down the stretch because the initial college football playoff poll comes out really soon. So
Oh yeah,
we
that's
got to
going to
be.
be.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be
Oh yeah,
interesting.
oh
So
yeah.
don't.
I'm going to be very. I'm going to be very interested in that more than I've been with the college football playoff polls, because you triple the amount of teams in the playoffs. That's big. So there'll be some excitement about that. I'm looking forward to that. So next down on the list, we were an onside kick away from me going down to the lids and buying a Vandy hat, wearing it on stream tonight. Vandy, they didn't do it, but man, impressive. They do not go down. They they do not ever look scared. They do not ever look intimidated, no matter who they play. And once again, found themselves an opportunity to beat another top three, top five team in their building. So still impressed with them after a 3-point loss to Texas, because there were some points in that game, especially towards the end, where they could have laid down, and it ended, but
Yeah.
they kept fighting back. They kept fighting back, and that's
Let's.
quarterback, coach. I mean, they're impressive, man. They're impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I was rooting to be able to give it the horns down this week. You know what I'm saying? I'll do it right now anyway. Horns down. I was rooting to be able to give it to him, but man, Vandy. I'll tell you, dude. I never thought I would. I would have never thought at the start of the season. That game scares me just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Hey, it's okay to admit it, man. You should be, you know, especially if you guys beat Georgia. You go in, you haven't lost a game since Arkansas, and you got to go in there, and that Vandy team's fresh off beating Alabama when they were number one, almost beating Texas. They've played with just about everybody. Like we said, they have a couple weird losses to teams they shouldn't have lost to, but they've had two big ups. I mean, Virginia Tech upset is looking better and better as
Yeah,
Virginia Tech season goes on. So
I'm gonna say
that's
this
going to
though.
be a game.
They're cowards for not leaving the net up for the Texas fans this week. They took them down. They took it down. I bet they put them up for us though. It's all right.
Yeah.
Well,
Make sure the holes aren't big enough for a mustard
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 bottle.
bottle to fit through.
Hey, they better make sure they're not big enough for a golf ball to make it through either. We're
Yeah.
packing heat. So after that one, man, the next one up, Miss Miami, Florida State. That one just don't
I
have the
said
luster,
last
man.
week, I said last week how hilarious it would have been for Miami to lose to Florida State, but and it was close early on. I did watch some of that game, and Florida State put up a good fight, but man, they're just so bad. They're so bad and they're so lost. You see the talent. They've got a lot of talent. Love to have some of their players on our defense, but they look like they don't want to play football every time they get on the field. Man, once they get down, especially, and that's all coaching. We've seen it. We've seen it when we've had bad coaches. It seems like the players have quit on them.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, man. And it sucks because I feel like Norvell is not a bad coach. I don't say it sucks for me because that rivalry is one that's, great. I mean, that was an all-time great rivalry. There's a handful of them that are good like that, and that was one of them. And now it's just like, well, yeah, Florida State, Miami's just going to smoke them. And here's the thing, though. I feel like Miami's caught lightning in a bottle with Cam Ward, and you're not going to see the same team next year. You won't.
No, not at all.
I don't
mean,
care.
He is that special. I saw that at Florida. He made throws that you couldn't defend. He's obviously a good fit for that offense, but they, without a doubt, have the easiest schedule of any top 10 team, maybe even top 25 team in the country. And that is going to bite you when you get to playoff time. It's going to bite you hard.
Absolutely. And it's going to bite you. Here's the thing, though. It's going to bite you, too, if you're not prepared to play one of those teams, because you're kind of getting down to the end of the year where you're like, okay, I know I'm going to go to my conference championship game. I can afford to maybe prepare for one of those games. And then you're like, oh, shit, I didn't prepare for them. They're going to beat me,
Yeah. Here's a first round matchup I'd love to see. Miami versus Boise State.
Ooh, that would be a good one. That would be a good one.
Miami would be teetering up there, I think, in the 5 to 6 seed range, with Boise State getting the 12th. So they could get that. They could match up, and that would be a worrisome game for Miami because Boise State's going to be ready to play.
I'm with you in that one. I'm with you. So
love to see that,
buddy. You got the next one. Penn State, yep. Wisconsin.
This one hurts. This one really hurts because it was the one I felt most confident about choosing the upset. I really felt like James Franklin was looking ahead, that the team was not ready, would not be ready for a night game in Wisconsin. And the first half, it looked that way. Wisconsin goes into halftime with the lead. I'll be honest, I went to bed because I'm an old man and I got to get to bed. Unless Florida's playing a 7:00 game, I rarely stay up, or if it's a big game like Alabama, LSU, something like that. But so I went to bed and I just hoped and prayed that Wisconsin would hold on, and then woke up the next morning and saw a very lopsided score from the second half. So disappointing because I felt like that was going to happen. But kudos to Penn State. You have to. We'll see the line here for the game this week, but I don't know. Maybe Penn State would be your favorite to win that game.
Yeah, we'll talk about it here in the next one. But I was with you on that. I was like, Madison's a hard place to play. You got to jump around, especially at night. But I mean, Penn State came out ready to roll, man, and they just had too much for them late. Had too much. I don't think Wisconsin had the Badgers to build the dam with them. You know what I mean? So that was that one, and this was one that I was on hot and heavy. LSU, Texas A&M, man. LSU was right there with them until Texas A&M brought in the backup quarterback, and that kid, if the dude from Duke is smart, and he come from Duke, he's got to be. That's your new starter. Straight up.
Absolutely. And it was his coming out party in the swamp. I mean, kid was impressive. So it's nice for me to see now that's a team we lost to that they're going back to that quarterback. That wasn't just a fluke. Like, he's that good. He is. Which is crazy to say because their starter was being touted as a top quarterback in the draft. He's got all the tools to be an NFL quarterback. He'll still get drafted, which is crazy, but he should be on the bench the rest of the year, man. There's no doubt about it. I mean, that was a good game. It was a good, close game. Looked like LSU was going to hang right there with them, maybe even win it. And then he came in and shut the door. I mean, he
said absolutely not.
Yeah, he's impressive. What, he's a redshirt freshman or something? So
yeah,
it reminds me a bit of Johnny Manziel. I remember that game in 2012. Florida, it was the first time Florida played Texas A&M, I believe. And I was just like, who is this guy? Who is this kid? Florida came away with the win there. But man, that was a great Florida defense. I was like, that guy we just made him look like a Heisman winner. We always say that. We make everybody look like and then he went on to do that. So this kid has similar skill set to Johnny Manziel.
Yeah,
which should make you excited if you're a Texas A&M.
Yeah, absolutely, man. That was impressive. And Brian Kelly and his family just did not know how to adjust to it. I mean, plain and simple, they just did.
Yeah,
and that's what got them beat.
We're seeing now how special Jaden Daniels was. Obviously, what he's doing with the Commanders. I was not a believer in that and him in general. But man, he's special. So he probably had a lot to do with LSU's wins last year more than Brian Kelly over the last 2 years.
Well, yeah.
And they should have won more.
Yeah, they should have. I know one game they shouldn't have, though, and that was the one we emptied out, the
Death Valley Bowl.
Death Valley, I don't like to brag or anything. Yeah, dude, go Vols.
The Gumbo Bowl.
The Gumbo Bowl. At least it wasn't the Inbred Bowl like the Auburn or like the Iron Bowl.
There we go. Now look, Duke.
Ugh.
I know that they hold a special place in your heart.
I was on that one, buddy. I was on it.
They did cover, right?
Yeah, they did. It was Duke almost had it. I mean, I want to say they were down 21-0 at one point.
Yeah,
and
over.
It was done. Whatever. Then I wake up the next morning. I'm like, damn, they almost got them.
Yeah, 1 point. Crazy.
You just can't count them out, man. And they got another big one this upcoming week. Like they're going to get somebody they shouldn't. I mean, it's not. They beat Florida State this year. They've not beat anybody impressive, but they're going to get somebody they shouldn't. And it could come this upcoming week. You want to look
past, Maybe they're a team that can knock off Miami or Clemson. I don't know if they play Clemson yet, but yeah, no, they are that type of team. They showed a lot of fight there, and no, you're proud of them. You called that they would cover the spread. They did, so that's something to be proud of there. And then we'll wrap it up with the in-state matchup: Kansas and Kansas State. Kansas jumped out to an early lead, did they not?
They did, man, and then they ended up getting rock chalked. I love it. I don't even care.
Football.
Big 12 football. That's Big 12 football.
That's right. I thought they might do it for a minute there, and then Kansas State stormed back and ends up taking that game. But you can see that game is one of those in-state rivalry games that is going to be close no matter how bad the teams are. I think Kansas might be 2-5 now, 2-6.
Yeah, 2-6.
Not looking good for them, but they almost knocked off Kansas State. They're a ranked team, ranked opponent.
Yeah, Kansas did end up covering that spread though. So,
Yeah. So just to recap of the preview. We tried to call a bunch of upsets. A lot almost happened, but it was not as many. It wasn't the crazy week that Missouri taking down Tennessee was, and Vandy taking Alabama, and all those upsets. Washington taking down Michigan all in one day. One of those weeks was probably good for those ranked teams, but it was still there was some good football. It was kind of a light slate, and especially for us personally, most of our teams were on bye weeks, but we're making up for that in a big way. I think this week with some big time matchups
for sure, buddy. We got plenty to talk about on the next Mutt Cuts.
The next Mutt Cuts episode, we will be previewing the next week of college football. It is October 30th, the day before Halloween. So go out there, get spooky, get crazy. 10 years ago today, I asked my wife to marry me.
I seen that.
So, yeah, that was a crazy year. Just doing that the day before Halloween might be a little weird, maybe.
No.
But it was a pretty day. That very next day, we got snow on Halloween.
I remember that.
One of those crazy years. So we missed the snow by one day and had a snowy Halloween. Very, very crazy year. But thank you all for joining us. Monty, thank you for hopping on as always.
But
partner in crime.
Me being here, like the sun coming up tomorrow. I'm down with it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we will we'll get back on here and talk about this upcoming week of college football. Hope everybody has a good night. We'll see you soon.
Yes, sir.